It's time for another Dice Tower review with Randy White and Mark Streed.
Hello folks, welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
This week we're taking a look at Ophir. We're building the Great Temple. We're using precious metals to build that temple, sailing around and picking them up and delivering them.
Ophir is produced by Terra Nova Games. It plays 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, in about 45 minutes.
All right, let's hit the water and go build that temple.
That's right.
So the board is divided into 3 quadrants. You have the market and the temple market. You have the map where you'll be sailing around picking up goods. And you have the temple. The temple is where you'll be delivering all the precious metals to build your temple and also purchase additional cargo holds. Each player receives a player ship mat for their corresponding ship. There's 2 sides to this. The back side has a nice reference guide to lead you through your turn until you get more used to how the game plays. You're also given a ship token, an influence dice, which fits here nicely in your ship, and a favor token. We'll talk about favor tokens in a bit. But for now, we will take our dice and everyone rolls to see who the first player is. The largest dice roll will be the first player. Then all players take the dice, their influence dice, and reset it back to 1 for the start of the game.
Specialist cards serve 3 key functions in the game. First, they give each player a unique skill described in the center of the card. Learning to exploit that skill will improve your chance of success in the game. Next, they allow you to keep track of the amount of favor you have, with the default starting amount of favor being indicated by the red circle along the bottom track. Lastly, they assign the player a specialist good to the right of the name. That good can always be exchanged in the marketplace for 1 coin per good of that type.
All right, let's look at a turn overview. So the first phase of your turn is always movement. So in this instance, we're going to be yellow, and we have the option to either move 2 spaces or anchor here at the temple. And the way you anchor is that you use favor. So again, across the specialist card at the bottom, you'll find your favor. And if you have at least 1 favor available, then you could pay that to stay here and then do a temple action. But we're going to move. So we can move 1 to 2 hexes. We're going to move to the rubies, and then we're going to move to the precious metals. So that would end our movement phase. However, if we were going to try to move somewhere else that had a player that already occupied it, so if we move back here to the rubies, and we decide that we want to move to the market, then we have to check influence. So we're going to try to do that. We look at green, and green's influence dice is at a 4. So we would have to roll a 4 or more to occupy this space with green. Now, if we fail to do that, then we have to move back to the rubies, which would end our movement phase, but then green would have to take its influence of 4 and move it down to 3, showing that it defeated us or stopped us from moving into this spot. Now, another thing about movement is these barriers. So you can't move through barriers. You have to navigate around them. You can't move through them unless you have a specialist of some sort that gives you special abilities. Those are definitely some niceties about having some of these specialists, is they have a lot of things you can do throughout the game. But in general, you're navigating around barriers. You're not moving through them.
If during the navigation phase you have attempted movement but failed both of your influence rolls and are still in the hex where you started your turn, then your turn ends and play continues with the person on your left. If on the other hand you have successfully moved to another hex or have used favor to anchor in the hex where you originally started your turn, then your turn continues with the action phase. The actions you're allowed to take are determined by the hex in which you're located. If you are located in one of the hexes with the basic goods, and those goods are cloth, wood, stone, and gems, then you are allowed to, but not required to, take 1 good of that type and place it in your cargo hold. If your cargo hold is already full, then you can throw one of your existing goods overboard to make room for the new good type. If you are located in the hex that sells precious metals, you can purchase gold and silver. Unlike the hexes that provide basic goods where you can obtain 1 good per turn for free, in the metals hex you can purchase up to 2 items as long as you have sufficient funds and space in your cargo hold. Keep in mind that both gold and silver take 2 spaces in your cargo hold. Gold and silver can be purchased with either coins or favor. The cost in coins will be determined by the current level of the temple being built. The cost in favor will always be 5 favor for gold and 3 favor for silver. If you are located in the hex with the marketplace, then you have the opportunity to trade in goods for coins. While you're in the market hex, there are 2 ways of exchanging goods for coins. The first is by performing a market trade. You do this by identifying one of the commodity cards, taking the goods shown on that card from your cargo hold and returning them to the supply, and then receiving the number of coins shown at the bottom of the card adjusted by the market modifier. In this case, I could take 2 stones from my cargo hold, return them to the supply, and receive 3 coins minus 1 for a total of 2 coins. After performing a market trade, remove the rightmost card from the game, shift the remaining cards 1 space to the right, and turn over the top card of the deck to show a new future market. If you are located in the hex with a temple, then there are 3 actions you can take. The first type of action you can take while you're in the temple hex is to contribute precious metals to the construction of the temple. You do this by taking gold and silver pieces from your cargo hold and placing them in the gray shaded rectangles on each temple tier. For each silver you contribute, you receive 5 victory points. For each gold you contribute, you receive 10. You can do this with up to 2 pieces of metal per turn. The second type of action you can perform while you're in the temple hex is to expand your cargo hold. You can do this by spending 2 coins to purchase a cargo piece, which you will then add to your player mat so that you have a total of 3 cargo holds. You can do this once per turn. The third type of action you can take while you're in the temple hex is to perform a temple donation. Instead of contributing gold or silver, this involves contributing the basic goods shown on the commodity card directly beneath the temple merchant in the market area. Instead of receiving coins, you will receive victory points and favor shown by the number at the top of the card. This number is not affected by the market modifier. So in this case, it would involve me taking 1 gem from my cargo hold, returning it to the supply, and in exchange receiving 1 victory point and 1 favor. You can perform 1 temple donation per turn. You can perform all 3 types of temple actions in a single turn in any order you choose. So, for example, you could contribute a precious metal to the construction of the temple to get victory points, contribute a good as a temple donation to get additional victory points and favor, and then spend 2 coins to increase the size of your cargo hold to the max. It's a good strategy to make your trips to the temple hex as efficient as possible.
Okay, so what do we think of this game? All right, well, I really, really enjoyed it. And this is one of the first games that we have followed from early prototype to completion. So with that in mind, we came up with the idea to make Board Game Corner approved line of games, and this is going to be the first. And it's just because we were able to follow it so closely from start to finish, and we've enjoyed it along the way. And the neat thing to mention about it too is that pick 'em and deliver games aren't my style of game, really.
Yeah, not me either.
But this one I really like, and like you've said in the past, it easily is the one that I compare all the others to now,
Right.
and just because we've had so much experience with it, right? So it's really enjoyable, really like it, love the artwork, just fantastic artwork, and it's amazing. It sucks you in right away, which is one of my criteria, right? It has to have that suck-in value. Just a fantastically fun game. And it's been really well received in our groups. I like how the market works, really like how the market works and how you see the future markets. And you have to, it's a race, right? There's pressure on to get there before somebody else does. And I like that feeling of pressure in a game. So there's lots to like about this game. And the hexes, 7 hexes, and the fact that there's so many tactics and things going on in those 7 hexes is so cool.
Yeah, don't be deceived by the fact it's a small playing space,
Right.
because there's lots of dimensions to this game.
That's what's amazing. I really enjoy. And of course, again, back to the graphics, with building the temple up, wow, it's so cool. It's just the way the temple builds up. You get that isometric 3D feel. It's really well done. So this game is going to get high marks from me. What about you?
I agree with many of the things you said. I think it's a beautiful game. I think as far as game box covers, I think it's one of the most beautiful I've seen.
Right?
And
it yells at you from across the room. Come look at me.
It also tells the story about what the game is about. You know, you are delivering things to build that, really that temple. It's not a super deep theme in the game.
No, but the artwork helps to bring you into that theme.
Yeah, and we've seen it when it was just basically a black and white or color paper, and this really has brought it to life. But even now, I consider this one of the most beautiful box covers out there, and it's wonderful to have on your shelves. But that's not the reason you buy a game.
That's not.
The mechanics of the game, as Mark said, there's a lot going on for just 7 hexes. But
and I'm still amazed at that. Every time we play, I'm like, there's so much happening here.
There is, and this is why I don't like some of the pick up and deliver games I've played since I played this prototype as much as I might otherwise like them, because I'm always comparing the other pick up and deliver games I play now to this game. And the fact there are so many dimensions. There's your location. There's, do I invest in buying gold, or do I invest in expanding my hold? Do I try to get more favors so I don't have to bother with these influence rolls?
And that's the thing that's great, is that you'll sell around. Oh, I'm getting silks and stone. Oh, I don't need those now. Yeah, somebody else just took them.
And that market track that's so dynamic. That's what holds your attention. I think that's what makes uptime so high, which I rated fairly high. Is the fact you have to be keeping track of what's going on. The turns are quick, and what other people do is of great interest to you, especially if they do something like move the market track down 1. And the thing that was, and 5 points because there was in the +1 slot. Now it's worth 3 points because it moved into the -1 slot.
So that's a great point. The pace of the game is really good.
Yeah, it is.
You stay engaged. You're enjoying. You're paying attention to what everybody's doing, and it's just really fun.
It is. The people we've taught it to. Many of the people are not deep. They don't like deep strategy games. And this was easy enough to teach them. Mark read the manual several times. I think this is one of the things that keep it from getting a little bit higher score in terms of ease of learning. Is the manual is very comprehensive. We didn't have any questions on
and that is crazy unusual.
It's
usually
very unusual.
I have many questions,
but it's comprehensive, and it's not a good quick start manual.
No, there's not a quick start manual.
It's not a thick manual, but there's enough reading that you want to do it before your friends sit down at the table.
But if you do, it's easy to get everybody up to speed. It happens really quick. So
the only other concern I have, and the thing that keeps it from getting perfect marks in the aesthetics category, the art and components, is the fact that the contrast could be better on some of the pieces, like the market modifiers.
They really should have been brighter colors.
Or just so it's easier to see across the table whether it's a +1 or a -1.
But it doesn't detract.
No, it's still a beautiful game. I would like to see the text a little bit larger, but again, there's not a lot of text in the game, so once you learn the game, you won't be referencing it very often.
I do wish the numbers for the modifiers were a little clearer.
And it was easier to see where the temple market guy was across the table. Cause
he kind of muddied and
he blends in.
But he sets off the board, so it's not like, I have no idea.
So anyway, but those are the things that keep from getting perfect marks. Otherwise, I think it's a great game. I like as long as you're setting up the temple correctly,
it looks amazing.
I think it looks amazing as you build it up.
3D feel is really cool.
It's cool. So it's a great game, I think, to have on your shelf because it plays so quickly and it's fairly easy to teach people. And it's not. I don't feel like it's a game that's going to require a lot of forethought. There's a lot more tactics.
Yeah, there's a more reactionary.
And even if people aren't tactical in nature, it's still fun to watch all the ships sail around and pick things up and sell them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, on to scoring. So I really like this game. And what's unusual about that is that it's not really typically a theme I would gravitate towards, right? And not that there's a strong theme. And that's probably why it gets a little bit lower marks for me, is because I'm such a huge theme guy and I love to be drenched in theme while I'm playing a game. This game has it, and the artwork serves to pull you in, but that's where it gets a little bit lower marks for me. The mechanics are super strong. It really is fun. And I'm amazed at how much I really do like this game based on the fact it's not my style of game, really.
You mean pick up and deliver?
Pick up and deliver, and the fact that you're dealing with markets and and so forth. So anyway, I really enjoy it, and I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 4 corners.
Now, for those of you who have a calendar nearby, you can make this a red letter day, because this is the first time in our recorded history that I am going to give it a higher score than Mark. I give it a solid 3.5.
And it makes sense, though, because it's heavy and strong on mechanics, and that's where you lie.
Right.
And for me, theme is where it's at for me.
And that's not as important to me. So I really am fascinated with the way that there are these multiple axes of play.
Yep.
And you can take different tactics, and your specialist card can make a difference. But overall, this is what increases the replayability and uptime, is the fact that there's just so many different ways to approach it and so many things you can do.
And again, I'll say it again, 7 hexes and so much going on in 7 hexes is just really cool.
Yeah. And I'm not a pick up and deliver guy typically either. And I think part of it's just the fact that in general, I don't find that many dimensions to those games, but this one I really do.
Yep. You should definitely check it out. So thanks for joining us today, folks. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.